Lately in the comments, I've been getting a lot of requests talking about what settings do I use for Marvel Rivals. Today, I'm going to go over some settings that I have on my PC that will help maximize the performance, as well as the controller settings that I use for those controller players out there. So, PC players, let's get right into it. So first things first is you're going to want to go open the Nvidia app or go onto Nvidia website. Once you are on the app or on the website, you're going to want to go to the drivers section, and you're going to want to make sure that you have this version installed, which is 581.29. So keep in mind, this is all for users who are using an Nvidia RTX graphics card. It could be a 10 series, 20 series, all the way up to a 50 series. But what's amazing about this driver is that they did fix the negative performance impacts when using the 581 drivers for your Nvidia GPU. So make sure you have this installed, and then once you have it installed, you can restart your computer to make sure all the settings are set in place and updated so that you're able to have the performance you need. Next, what you're going to want to do is go into your settings. After going into your settings, you're going to want to go to the gaming tab, and I would advise to please make sure you have the gaming bar off. And so the reason why I say that is because it's an extra overlay that's causing your PC to require more performance out of it, and personally, it's not worth it. So make sure you have this turned off. Afterwards, you're going to want to go to the graphics section, and you want to make sure that more apps that are running in the background are turned off for the sake of you having the performance you need. And as you scroll down to these different apps that you have installed, for Marvel Rivals, I would also highly encourage you to make sure to set the GPU preference to high performance so you get the maximum performance you are looking for on your game. Make sure the optimizations for window games is turned on so that you're able to, if you are a full screen borderless or a window type of gamer, that you will not run into issues when turning this on. Next, you're going to want to scroll all the way up to advanced graphics settings and make sure that you have hardware accelerated GPU scheduling turned on. So if you have it off and you're setting it to on, it's going to ask you that your PC is required to restart upon the updated settings. So make sure once you do that to restart your computer so that all the settings are updated and integrated in your PC, and then you should be good to go. The next thing you're going to want to do is to right click on your mouse, and you'll see a menu that says show more options, and make sure you select the Nvidia control panel. Once you open it up, you're going to have a settings on the manage 3D settings that looks something like this. And so I'm not going to really explain all the settings that I have set up on the Manage 3D settings. If you want to, you can just go ahead and pause the video throughout each settings that I go over, so you can just copy and paste, and you should be good after all of that. And if you change any of these settings that are on here, you can make sure to press the apply button that will be at the bottom beneath, and you should be good to go there. In the adjust image settings with preview, this is where you can change your PC performance. If you have a medium to high performance type of PC, I would recommend to make sure to set it to quality. If you have a low performing type of PC, I would make sure to have it set to performance. Once you are finished with that section, make sure you go click on change resolution. Here, it's going to show you what is your resolution rate on your monitor and the refresh rate. Please make sure that it's set to the native resolution of your monitor. For this case, for me, it would be the 1920 by 1080p, and my refresh rate on my monitor is 240. Make sure that you set it to the refresh rate that your monitor can handle. After you made the adjusted settings over here, I'm going to have you go to one last section on the control panel, which is the configure surround physics. Make sure that when you're over here, if you have a higher end GPU than your CPU, make sure you select your graphics card. For me, it would be the Nvidia GeForce RTX 4090. Press the apply button so that the changes are made. If you have a higher end CPU, make sure you select the CPU and then press the apply to adjust the changes. And after that, you should be all good to go on the control panel. Once you have your game booted up, you're going to want to go to settings so that you can be able to unlock this menu over here. You're going to want to choose for your display mode. I would highly recommend full screen. Now, if you're someone who has multiple monitors, or you're a streamer yourself that loves to tab out and click on certain things to handle certain apps or whatever that you're working on, you can set it to borderless windowed. Make sure your aspect ratio matches your monitor. For my case, this would be the 16 by 9. Your display resolution, this is what your monitor display resolution is. For me, it would be 1920 by 1080. If you have a 1440p monitor, you're going to want to do the 250/60 by 1440. And if you have 4K resolution, you're going to want to choose the 3840 X2160. Now for anti-aliasing and super resolution type, now this is going to depend on your setup. In most cases, if you are an Nvidia user, you're going to want to choose the Nvidia DLSS. This tends to build the best performance for Nvidia users. And what I would personally recommend, if you are just an Intel user, I would recommend having the Intel XS. This one tends to be not too shabby of a resolution type. But if you are in full-on AMD user, I would recommend using the AMD FSR 3 setup. Now, moving on to the super resolution mode. If you don't mind about performance and you're just a quick play type of player, then I would just recommend having it on quality if you have a pretty medium to high-end PC. Now, if you are someone with a low-end PC, or if you are low to medium, then I would recommend either having it set to balanced if you want to get some good quality, but also really good performance. Or if you're just a low-end PC, but you're that type of competitive player that loves to just try to get the best performance possible, then I would recommend setting it to performance so that you can get the best feel possible. Now for super resolution sharpening, I would set it to 100 so that you can be able to have the game look really, really good in high definition. Nvidia DLSS frame generation, I would recommend for Nvidia users to have it set to off. And so the reason why is because if you have it set to off, if you are that type of person that really grinds ranked and competitive and really is trying to seek for Grandmaster, Celestial, or the top people of the world, you are not going to want to have this on. It's going to affect your gameplay. It's going to make performance really rough, and you're not going to be able to have the best inputs when it comes to playing the game. If you are the type of person that's not casual type of player, I would set it to off. If you just want a cool quality experience of just having frames on, then you can set it to on. And the reality is with a DLSS frame generation, the problem with this setting is that even though you may get some boosted frames, some of the frames are not fully actual frames. These are what we call fake frames that are built via AI. So I would recommend setting this set to off. Now, NVIDIA Reflex Low Latency, I would recommend having this set to on. And so what this does is that allows your inputs to be faster, to be quicker response rate, and so that your game is able to have a smoother flow rate and to be able to perform much easier. Now for the brightness, I would recommend having this set to 50 to 60 so that you can be able to see the game pretty well, and also at the same time not have it too bright or too dark to your liking. Now for the match FPS cap, this one really depends on your preference. I set it to no limit because I just like to be able to get the most frames I can get. Now, if you're someone who wants to just cap your frames so that you're able to have your game maybe feel slightly better, then set it to the frame. Maybe I would recommend setting it to probably either 120 or 144 so that you get the best feel of the game, or just have it match to your refresh rate of your monitor. If you're someone with a 240 refresh rate, set it to 240. If you're someone with a 144 or 165 refresh rate, set it to the 144 or the 165. So for me, I choose no limit. For the lobby FPS cap, I usually set this to 60 so that I'm not overworking my GPU or CPU. And the same with my background FPS caps, I set it to 30. Now, if you really want to know your frames as you're playing the game, you can set this to on. This is a feature you can set on or off, depending to your liking. If you want to know what your input latency looks like, you can set the network stats to on so that you can be able to see those quick stats. Now, for the VSync, I set this to off because with VSync, it limits your frames on your game. If you want to be able to have it set to where you are able to not cap the amount of frames that are going to your game from your PC to your monitor, then you're going to want to set this to off. Now for the optimization settings, the graphics quality, I have it set to custom because you're going to want to have some of these off, as well as also to lower quality settings. So for the global illumination, I have it set to off, reflection quality to off, and for model detail, I prefer to have it on performance mode so that you're able to get the best feel of the game. If you don't really mind just the quality look of the game, then I would set it to higher ultra. Otherwise, I would set it to performance for competitive gamers. And then everything else, all the rest of these settings over here, the effects, the foliage, the texture, shadow, detail, post-processing, all of this, I would recommend setting this to either low or medium. But if you want to have the best performance possible, I would recommend either having it set to medium or to low. Once you have also completed these settings, please make sure that you press the restart button over here for reload shaders, because once you do that, it will allow you to be able to update the settings that you just made changes to. That allows you to be able to integrate what you just put for your updated settings. So once you do that, you're going to make sure that you escape, press exit to desktop, and restart your game so that the new shaders can install on your game. Now, going back to the display section, we're going to move all the way for those who are on controller to the controller section. So this is my setup that I have on the controller. I have my cursor sensitivity to 100. For me, it is not too fast, but also not too slow. If you are someone that struggles with swinging when it comes to the sensitivity, I would set it to 100. If you are someone who wants to have it a little bit faster, make sure I would set it to recommended around 150 to about 175. If you're crazy, then set it to 200. But personally, for my liking, for someone who doesn't want it too fast or too slow, I'd recommend setting it to 100. Personally, for me, I like having the vibration setting on. I know you think I'm crazy for having this on, but personally, I like it for the sake of just the fact of just not only the feel of the game, but also for the fact of whenever I get a kill, it helps me to better know if I got the kill or not. So I make sure that I have this setting to on, and also it enables me to allow to know if my shots are hitting or if I'm just missing and whiffing every shot I'm using. You can also change the vibration intensity as well if that's something that you're into, so that it makes it a little bit easier for whether it's too much or if it's too underwhelming. And you can also enable the trigger dead zone, which allows for the sensitivity of pressing down on your left and right triggers. I have this setting to off personally. This has helped me to be able to better use these triggers for my different characters, which I normally use Doctor Strange. After you have adjusted all of these settings, you should be all good to go. And that is going to wrap up today's video of Marvel Rivals Season 4 settings and my controller settings. What hero are you using in this brand new Season 4 of Marvel Rivals? I also do stream every single day on Twitch, TikTok, YouTube, and Kick every single Tuesday, Friday, and Saturday for Marvel Rivals. So if you guys want to catch me in a stream while playing this game, make sure that you guys have your notifications set to on so that you guys can be able to check out my gameplay on my live streams. But that's going to be it for today's video. So until then, I will see you guys in the next video. Peace. Come and get 'em.